Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is called Parshas Tazria, Metzora. It's a double portion, and it speaks primarily about a spiritual illness called tsaras. Outwardly, it had some similar appearances to what today is known as leprosy, but it was not a physical disease. It was a spiritual disease that came because of a person's inappropriate behavior. One of the details in the dealing with a Metzora was that the only person who could judge whether or not he was ill was the priest, a Kohen, even a child Kohen. Only a priest was the one who was able to judge whether the person was sick, and in fact it was part of the priest's responsibility to look for every possible indication not to declare a person as having tsaras, and when they would have tsaras, to find every possible expediency to cure them as soon as possible. Okay, why were the priests chosen for this? Because the priests were descendants of Aaron a Kohen, Aaron the high priest, and Aaron was known for Ohev Shalom v'Rodei Shalom. He was known for loving brotherly love, peace between people. He made every effort, and since the Kohen had the ability to really care for another person, they were given the ability, the judgment, whether or not to call a person a Metzora or not, and whether or not, and how to, as quickly as possible, cure them. What can you and I learn from this? When we see a person with a negative trait, don't be so quick to judge them. Perhaps it's just something in us that's resonating. Maybe we're lacking ourselves in our own quality of brotherly love, and that because of that, because of some coarse feelings of our own, we're not able to give them the full benefit of the doubt. When we can do that, we not only will make our lives around us more positive, we're also going to hasten Mashiach's coming, because Mashiach will come. When can the Shekhinah rest? Only in a place of brotherly love. But I want to share a story. I heard the story from a Kohen, from Rabbi Elik Friedman. Even today, all of the rabbis of cities in Israel have a driver, because the tradition was that people, great Torah scholars coming from Europe, 50 and 100 years ago, 50 and 70 years ago, didn't have driving licenses. Okay, so part of the team of each rabbi is his driver, his secretary, and the head of the religious council. So one time the driver in the evening picked up the chief rabbi of his particular town and took him to a wedding. And first the driver went to the local family, the parents of the bride, and said Mazel Tov. And afterwards he went to the parents of the groom. And as soon as he got to the groom, it was very noisy. There was a band, there's people speaking. The father of the groom says, "Nobody called you." Okay, and it didn't seem to, this very coarse language didn't seem to bother the chief rabbi at all. He said hello to a few more people, and they left. The driver, meanwhile, was consumed with anger. How dare this other rabbi speak to my rabbi in such an inappropriate way? And immediately when he got home, he called up the other members of the team and said, "We have to meet right away in the morning and decide what to do." So they all got there early. They decided they're going to write a letter of complaint against this other rabbi, okay, because to protect the honor of their rabbi. But before they were going to do such a thing, they decided they should at least check with the town rabbi to see what he'd think about it. So the driver went in and he said, "I was really impressed. This person spoke to you so inappropriately and you didn't react at all." And the rabbi said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Please, Rabbi, don't deny it. I heard him say to you, 'Nobody called you.'" And the rabbi laughed. He said, "You don't understand. The father of the groom and myself go back 50 years. We were roommates in yeshiva together. And so as soon as he came to town yesterday morning, the first place he stopped was in my house to say hello to me, to pick up our acquaintance. But he mentioned as he was leaving that he forgot his cell phone at home. I said to him, I don't get so many calls. You can borrow my phone. But let me know if somebody calls." So when I saw him, what did he say? "Nobody called you." Let's not so be quick to judge, and that will bring peace to the world and will hasten the coming of Mashiach. Shabbat Shalom.